Hey there, crew, and thanks for jumping in and having a look at this video. And it's an exciting one, Tom.
It certainly is, Benny.
It's the 5 financial fundamentals to follow to help you become a great chief financial officer and become large and in charge of your financial position. So how about we kick straight into it, Tommy? How about you kick us off with number one?
The first financial fundamental, mate, is that income minus expenses equals a profit or loss. Now, what I mean by that is, as a successful CFO, you're going to have money coming in. It could be through a job or it could be through your business. And you're obviously going to have money that's going out for your lifestyle as well. Now, the key time to inspect that as whether that's a profit or a loss is not at the end of the year. You want to be on top of that as a successful CFO every single strong week.
Yeah, we want to be in a stronger financial position, not a weaker financial position, hence the term strong, not weak. So that's right, you're going to have money coming in through various pursuits, self-employed employee. You got money coming out for expenses, so that would be things like rent, fuel for the car, entertainment, very important. The goal is to have more money rather than less at the end of each strong or each month. So make sure you keep an eye on that.
Know your numbers.
Yeah, know your numbers. Number 2 is to know your net asset position. If you know your net asset position, your ass is set. So that net asset position is pretty much what you're worth from a financial point of view. If you have a look at breaking everything you have as far as what it's worth, or looking at everything you own, you can tally that up. So let's say you have a car, you may own a property, a house,
money in the bank.
Money in the bank. You might have shares or managed funds or mutual funds if you're in America. And you have a look at what's the total value of those. If you had to sell everything today, how much money could you get for them? So that's like the left side. If I'm looking at a bit of paper, that's the left side of my asset liability column. Then on the right side, you have your liabilities. So liabilities is all the things that you owe. So on one side, you've got everything you own. And on the other side, you've got everything that you owe. Liabilities. So liabilities are things that take money out of your pocket each month, whereas assets are the things that are of value that you have that's going to put money in your pocket. And what you do is you go, look at what I own minus what I owe, and that'll give you your net asset position. So an example of that might be I tally up everything I own, and that might be worth $100,000, but I owe $70,000 as far as loans and credit cards and bills, etc. So 100,000 minus 70,000 is 30,000. So you Proprietary Limited, meaning in my case, Benny Proprietary Limited's net asset position as of this day would be, in that example, $30,000, Tom. And our goal as a Chief Financial Officer is to be following the fundamentals to increase and improve that net asset position.
That's right, and that really leads into financial fundamental number 3, which is to follow the PIF rules. Now, PIF stands for pay yourself first, and there's 2 rules for that which are going to help you increase your net asset position.
So your ass is set.
So what we call the first PIF rule is paying yourself first. Now, example here is if you're earning the income that you're earning, money that's coming in, you're earning $1,000 per strong.
Let's use that example for this video. You're earning $1,000 through whatever it is that you do.
Of that $1,000, you may say set aside 10%, which would be a fair amount, to pay yourself first. So technically, you're only being paid $900 because that first $100 you've paid yourself first.
Straight in the pocket.
And put aside. And then if you can imagine you've done that 4 weeks in a row or 4 strongs in a row, all of a sudden you're going to have $400, and that's going to lead you into PIF rule number
2, which is to plan your funds. So PIF rule number 1 is pay yourself first. We use the example of 10%, but you may be in a position where it could be 20%, or you may be in a position where you're starting at 2 or 5%, depending on your current financial position. Plant your funds is the second one, and there are different places you can plant your funds, which we're going to talk about in a minute. When we look at Know Your ABC investments in financial rule number 5. But in this example, we now have $400 because for 1 month, we've been putting $100 in the pocket of our money because we applied PIF rule number 1. We have $400 and now we have to find somewhere to put it, not just stick it under the mattress or in a shoebox. We're going to plan it where it can grow in fertile ground. And that's what PIF rule number 2 is, Tom, is making sure that you plant those funds.
That's right, Benny. Now, fundamental number 4 is to follow a system of allocation for your income. And we like to follow what we call a 70-10-10-5-5 system of allocation. Can you tell the lads about that?
Well, really what it is a budget. So let's use the example of $1,000 a week. So if you have $1,000 a week income, so money coming in, you're sitting there at your Chief Financial Officer desk with your abacus or your calculator, and you're doing your numbers, because it's a great thing to do each strong. Have a time where you as the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Financial Officer, because you're doing both roles, sits down and organises your finances and inspects what's going on. 70% of that $1,000, which equals $700, could be allocated to your living costs or your lifestyle expenses, which is rent and food and phone and internet and entertainment and those kind of things. So that leaves you $300, because $700 has gone to your living costs. The next 10% you may use for that's your PIF rule.
Yeah.
Right? So that's your PIF. Also what we call active capital. So that's money that you have that you can now use to invest, which we talked about before in the previous rule.
That's right, Benny.
Yeah. The next one is another 10%. So that would be another $100. So we've got $700 for living costs. We've got $100 PIF rule, which we're going to plant somewhere into fertile ground to grow a net asset position. And then we now have another $100 which we can allocate. In the example we use in the training manual in the Business of Designing a Fantastic Life program, that $100 we use for personal development. So that's courses that you might want to do to develop your skills, your internal skills. It could be like an internet marketing course. It could be a speaking course.
I use mine to build up my book collection, the books I want to read.
Yeah, it could be building your library, that kind of thing. The 10% might also be used for part of your travel budget to go and do a course. So that's your 10%. Then we've got 5 and 5. So there's 10% left. We have $100 left, Tom. That's $50. So the next 5%, the next one's $50, the next 5%, that could be charity. And this is just an example. Charity could be like a Make-A-Wish Foundation, where you're helping kids out. It could be your preferred charity, maybe a Heart Foundation.
SPCA for the animals, RSPCA.
RSPCA in Australia, which is looking after animals. So that's 5%. And then that leaves us 5%. So we have $50 left. So we've allocated $950 of our $1,000. We have $50 left. Where could that go?
Well, the last $50 goes to the magical genie. So it goes into a fund which you use to do things that will enhance the fantasticness of your life. So if you imagine over the course of, say, a month, you put aside $50, you're going to have $200. And now you can basically do whatever you like with it.
Okay.
Grant a wish.
Yeah, okay. So the reason it's called the magic genie is you have an account where you put $50 in, as Tom used the example. So that would be $200 in a month, $600 in 3 months. And something may come along that you would really like. You go, gee, I wish I could do that. I wish I had the money to go to that concert. I wish I could go on that boys' trip. I wish I could take this fine lady out to dinner to the fine restaurant. So you can grant that wish. You just have to check how strong the genie is. And the better you've been allocating your money and the longer you've been allocating that 5% each week, so each 7 days, the more potent the wish is that genie can grant you. So that's why we call it the Fantastic Genie, and you'll see that in the training manuals in the program. So that sort of takes us through 4 and 5, so we're 80% there for you numbers people.
Number 5 is to know your A, B, C, D investments. So A, B, C, and D investments. Yeah,
it's mainly in a manual we say the ABC. So there's the ABC investments, but there is a D, which we'll talk about in a little while. So A investment. So when we look at your different types of investments, now we're referring on from planting your funds. So remember we had the 2 PIF rules, and we talked about planting your funds. We talked about the system of allocation, which was that 70% for living, and that first 10% was that first PIF rule again. So it keeps popping up. Now we need to know where we're going to put that money. And the way we go about doing that is knowing the different investments. So a type A investment is an investment that is low risk, it's long term. So it's low risk, meaning you're less likely to get burnt and lose it if something happens in the share market or the stock market or real estate or something like that. It is slow to grow, which means you want to get it started as soon as possible. And a good example of that in Australia is what we call superannuation, where you have a bit of money taken out of your pay, your wages or your salary if you're employed, and set into a fund. In New Zealand, they call it
Kiwi Saver in New Zealand, 401k in America.
It's your 401k. So that's just an example of a type A. The other one might be where you take a chunk of cash that you've saved up, you've been pipping, and you take it to the bank and you put it in a long-term deposit or something of that nature. Yeah. Right. So that's type A.
And once you've got type A taken care of,
get type A in place first.
You can then take care of a type B. Now, type B is a little bit more higher risk, and with higher risk comes a higher reward.
Ideally, not always.
Not always, but you know that with it being a type B. So what we're referring to here, it could be like a managed fund that's a little bit more aggressive. Could be investing in shares.
Managed fund is known as a mutual fund in America for you Americans.
A mutual fund if you're in America. It could be investing in shares or stocks if you're in America. Something that's a little bit riskier, but will in turn hopefully provide you with a higher return on your investment.
So get your A in place and then add a B block on top of it. That leads us into type C. So type C investments is sort of your last sort of ones that you're going to be looking at. They're ones which are high risk, but with that high risk comes high return. So it's kind of like taking 10 grand to the bank and chucking it on red on the roulette table at the casino. That is, I guess, is an example of a type C investment. But these are different things that once you're developing your wealth creation plan, after you've developed your wealth creation mindset, so remember, financial intelligence comes before financial independence, but to get there you need a strategy, and that's where you go about putting together a wealth creation plan. That's where you may enlist the services of a wealth creation expert or a professional if you don't want to do it yourself. You'll notice if you haven't seen our YouTube channel, we're going to have some videos on there. We've got some great friends who are wealth creation experts. I'm going to interview them and see what they can share, what other tips they can delve into, which are a little bit deeper.
Pass on the band of brothers.
Pass on the band. That's part of our band of wealth creation brothers. And I guess there's the type D investment that Tommy referred to later, which are dickhead investments, which are just stupid things that people do with their money, like buying an emu farm.
Or an emu.
Yeah, an emu is probably not a good investment.
Fantastic. So make sure you check out our website, guys, www.mantasticlife.com, and obviously our personal development program, The Business of Designing a Mantastic Life, runs you through exactly how to do all of this and go and be a large and in charge CFO of You Proprietary Limited.
Yeah, build your own financial fortress.
Have a mantastic day.
Ta-ta.